So my name is Sue Suilla. I am a former member of Girls for Gender Equity's Young Women's Advisory Council and a current member of the Speakers Bureau and a GGE Youth Fellow. Girls for Gender Equity works intergenerationally to support the needs of young women and gender nonconforming youth of color through advocacy and programmings like YWAC. I learned the impact that advocacy and community organizing can have on policy. In 2019, we had a movement to expand Title IX in New York City, and we won that fight. So I was able to see how local government can directly impact young people in the city. Last week, the city council had an executive budget hearing, and unfortunately, they were not accepting any testimony or any public comment at that time. But we understand that the decisions that they make will directly impact young people for the next year as far as how funds are being allocated throughout the city. The New York City Council has made a lot of promises, but what we need from them is transparency and accountability. And we want them to listen to young people. We want them to actually hear what we are asking for and what is important to us when they make the decisions that they do, because it will directly impact us. We have an understanding that strong communities will invest in their young people, and programs like Young Women's Advisory Council and Speakers Bureau, those help give tools to young people so that they can understand how to be, better citizens and how to be better advocates for themselves and their communities, and the language and tools that they will need to do those things. We want equitable funding for all of the students across the city. We don't just want to see that money being put into charter schools or school safety agents, but we also need to see that in public schools and people who are trained to help, like support staff, social workers. We also need things like books, after school programs, things that actually contribute to what safety means for a lot of the young people in the city. Hundreds of school safety agents are graduating across the city this year, which will lead to an increase in the NYPD's budget. So we understand that this is a response to violence and crime. This is not a preventative measure. The only thing that would be preventative would be investing in schools and other safety nets for young people. City Council has said time and time again that they want to hear from young people, but the reality is that they don't actually listen to us. They work for us and should be held accountable to us. What you invest in shows what you truly value. If the New York City Council genuinely cares about the futures of young people and communities of color, they will allocate more money to education rather than to policing, and prioritize the things that actually factor into safety for young people.